Hey everyone, welcome back to All Things Art. Eric here, and welcome back to another installment of What's New? What's new with 3D printing? What new STL files came out this month? What new character models did we get this month? Each month I showcase new characters, new models, new STL files that were just released. If you're new to the channel, an STL file is basically a digital file extension that a 3D artist will save in the program. This way us at home can now take that file and print it. So each month we get new characters. So moving forward to this month, I'm featuring a new group that reached out to me. They go by the name of Super Shark. They're working on a lot of really cool DC models right now. And then we also have the usual guys such as B3D Zerk or Berserk. We have Wicked again. I believe CAD Studios, maybe Epic Props, and a whole bunch of others. So let's get started. A quick announcement, I am giving back to the channel and rewarding anybody that is subscribed. So all you need to do is hit the subscription button down below, leave a comment on this video or any future video, and you will qualify to enter. Every time we reach a new milestone of 1,000 subscribers, I will randomly choose one person to win one of two prizes. An Iwata Neo airbrush gun, the perfect airbrush gun to tackle any project, or a Sideshow Collectibles gift card valued at $50. They have hundreds of figures to choose from, and it's a gift that will fit anyone's collection. Both prizes are eligible for anybody. I will ship worldwide. So hit that subscription button to enter and check your emails because you just might be the next winner. Okay, so just to start things off, I want to say we have a lot of cool characters this month, a lot of cool models. The sculpts were absolutely fantastic this month. General Zod, Superman, Cosmic Spider-Man, Chameleon, really cool Ghost Rider, X-23 Wolverine, Apocalypse. So many cool characters that came out this month. So I'm not going to spend too much time on each photo. This way it moves quicker. So let's just get started. Right on the screen now, we can see we have by Wicked. This is General Zod. It's a diorama. It says Zod Sculpture, a true Kryptonian. And it's basically General Zod defeating Superman. Superman is on his knees on top of the base. We have two portraits. We have Zod looking more determined, and then Zod with a rage screaming face. So let's go through these photos, because this is very cool. So this is like just a breakdown showing you all the different looks of the statue, and then we'll go through and look at the more up-close photos of all this, because this is really impressive. There's not too many, General Zod statues out there, but this is super impressive. So let's see. So like I said, we have Zod sitting on his knees. Superman is defeated. We got the blood dripping out. Everything looks really cool. I really like the look of Superman's suit, the way it's all aged looking. It actually looks like he went through a battle and was defeated. Even looking at like his skin pores, great texture inside of the skin pores. So everything looks really cool. Got the blood dripping all out his face. His face is all swollen. His eyes are swollen. His lips are swollen. Zod himself looks really great. I love the sculpt of his suit. So really fantastic the way they did this. So let's scroll through the photos. I have color renders on this one, and I also have the grayscale renders. So I always like looking at the grayscale renders. So here's a look at that screaming portrait. So looks really good. I think I kind of like more of the determined look on his face. Also, you'll see that it says 1/6 scale. So anytime something says, 1/6 scale on the screen, that just means that it's pre-supported. Wicked pre-supports their models so that you don't have to add supports, but never fully trust pre-supported models. You always got to check it yourself and add your own supports. This way the 3D print doesn't fail on the printer. But it could be upscaled. If you needed this in quarter scale, if you needed this in 1/3 scale, it could be done. So that's why it's just saying 1/6 scale. I'm sorry, this is actually by B3D Berserk. Similar guys, same guys to Wicked. All right, so here's Superman. Again, the face is all busted up. get a good look at, computer's not working there. All right, we get a good look. You know, he's got a big knot on his forehead, all swollen, lots of blood dripping out his face. Assuming he was probably defeated by kryptonite to look like that. But really great, you know, texture in this, the cape and the suit itself. Yeah, just overall, the whole piece looks really great the way they sculpted this with the textures everywhere. So let's move to the next photo. So here's a look at General Zod. Again, like I have a lot of photos of this, so we'll go through it quickly. Because I like to get to the gray renders. This way we can kind of like see the actual sculpt of everything without all the fancy, you know, color photo edits to it. So it's for resin and FDM. Obviously, if you had a resin printer or an FDM printer. All right, so here's a first look at one of the grayscale. So you can really now see like the texture inside of the logo for Superman. All the torn edges in the fabric. This came out really cool looking. I'm really impressed by this. Super cool looking. All right, let's move to the next photo. Here's a look at the patch on Zod's shoulder. So really nice looking. You know, you got like the damage to the metal. So again, same thing with Zod. Looks really cool with the fabric and the textures. Here's a look at the other arm for Zod. Look at his hand. So the armor itself is really impressive. I like the way they did the armor. Really great sculpt. So look at his hand. Really cool looking. They also give you the option. So here's the grayscale of Superman's face all busted up. So we'll get to it in a minute, but they also give you the option if you didn't want to do the diorama with Zod and Superman, you can have General Zod just by himself, which also looks fantastic. So with Superman, they're giving you the blood already inside of the sculpt. So, you know, if you were painting this, just keep in mind that the blood is already sculpted into the face, which is great. Looks really good. Here's a look at the other side of his face, all busted up. So really cool. Here's an up-close look at General Zod's face with the screaming portrait. Again, looking good. Here's the more determined looking face for General Zod. I think I like this one a lot better. I mean, they're both good, but I'm just leaning more towards this one. I kind of like the way his, he looks really evil in this photo. So really cool. Like I said, I have a lot of these photos, so I'm just going to quickly scroll through them. All right, so here's General Zod by himself, which is also really cool. Like if you had to print one of these, I couldn't probably choose because the diorama is so well done, and then just this General Zod by himself is so well done. So it's General Zod, you know, standing on this rubble base, which is looks absolutely fantastic. I love the way they did the more finished sub base, and then you get just that broken little piece of rubble. Really puts just the focus on General Zod himself, and we'll get to what he's holding, but he's actually holding Superman's head. So really cool looking. Here's a look at the, you know, the full figure. As Berserk and Wicked always does, is they always give you the option for a bust. So really quick, here's a look at the bust for General Zod. So pretty similar to, you know, the Dio or the main statue by itself, but in bust form. All right, so they also give you two options for a bust. So this is a bust of the full figure. It's basically just, you know, the full figure with the legs cut off, and it just pegs straight into the base. So really cool that they always do that. They give you options, you know, depending on the space in your collection. You know, you could fit, you know, one of these. So for the bust, they always pre-support them in quarter scale. But again, it could be, these can be sized to any scale that you want. Also, like I always say, my commission list is open. If you don't print yourself and you need something printed, I can have this printed for you. Any model I can have printed for you, as well as painted. My commission list is painted for about middle of the year right now. All right, so he's, you know, shooting the laser beams into Superman's head, which is basically his skull right now. So let's get a good look at that. So you can see what's going on there. He's shooting his, we call it the heat vision straight into Superman's eyes. So looks really cool looking. Really digging this model a lot. Here's another angle of that. So really nice looking the way that they did the blast coming out of the eyes. All right, so now here you could also do the screaming portrait. I kind of like this one with the screaming portrait by himself. So there's a look at that. I think it works better with the screaming portrait, that he's like angry and actually shooting the beams out of his eyes, as opposed, excuse me, as opposed to the Dio where he's already defeated Superman. I think the more determined face works better on that one. So they're giving you, up close look at the textures, like I mentioned earlier, that look absolutely fantastic for his flowing, what do you call it, the fabric flowing off of his shoulder. So here's a front view of the Superman skull. We'll zoom into that. So really cool, excuse me, really cool the way they did the skull. Doesn't look like like a human skull, which is really cool that they did that. It has like weird bumps and grooves to it, so I guess kind of makes it look more alien, which Superman is. So I like that they did that and just didn't make it like a smooth skull, more like more like a human. We're getting a look at his boots. It's a different, the sculpt. That was that like a hexagon, 2, 3, 4, yeah, hexagon pattern. Again, a look at his well, it's not X-ray vision, his heat vision eyes. Again, another look at that portrait. Further away photo of him. So we got a lot of photos of him. All right, so next character. So that was absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love that General Zod model, either by himself or with the diorama. That's one of the coolest things I've seen in a while that's been, for 3D printing. So really excited to see that. Up next, this is going to be by Wicked. Again, they are, I believe, sister company, sister site to B3D Zerk or Berserk. So this is a Silk Spectre. I don't have a lot of photos of her, and I'm not really too familiar with the character, but she looks really cool. It says sculpture, the kick-ass beauty. So we'll just look through these real quick. Like I said, I don't have a lot of photos of her, I don't believe. So here's the promo, so you can see her all, colored in the way she looks. So if anybody's watching this and knows the character, let me know in the comments what you think of her. I'm not too familiar with her, if at all. Not sure who this is. So same thing like I mentioned, this is so B3D Zerk, they give you an option for a bust. So if you didn't want the full figure, you have the bust. Looks like we have 2 bust options here. So we got that bust option and then that bust option. All right, so here's the breakdown, giving you a quick view of all the different parts. I'm just going to zoom into this because, like I said, I don't think we have a lot of different photos. So again, like they're very great at doing, textures. So the face looks really good. You have all the different pores in the skin. The eyes are nicely sculpted. Look at her butt behind. Looks really good. So let's see if we have any more photos. I think I have a few more. All right, so here's a look at the bust. Looks really good with the zipper. Sculpt is always perfect. Looks like she has a little blemish on her chin. Let me know if that's supposed to be there. I'm assuming it is for the character. Same thing with the eyebrows. If you look at the eyebrows, I kind of noticed that. I think it was in the Catwoman pictures last month. I don't know if that's just in the renders, or if it's supposed to be on the model itself. Because like I said, I'm not familiar with her, but like right there, it's a weird mark. Could be, it's probably just the renders, but found that interesting. So this looks like it's another look at the bust. So nice looking face. Let's see if we have any of the full figure. All right, so here's the full figure. It's a simple base, just a round cylinder, very museum style with her arms crossed. So they're actually pre-supporting this in quarter scale. I guess because it is such a smaller piece, it'll most likely fit on more people's printers, you know, more collectors printers. So they're actually pre-supporting this in 1/4 scale. I wish they would do that to all their models. I think most people collect and print 1/4 scale than they do versus like 1/6 scale. So this one comes pre-supported for resin and FDM in 1/4 scale. So really cool. Here's an up close look of that. So she's got some nice textures in the suit between the leather and the other fabric that's going on. It's another angle of her face. Okay, here's another look at that bust. So we get different options for the bust. All right, next model. So this is going to be, I believe he's the what was his name? Anti-Monitor? Yeah, Anti-Monitor, I believe the name was for this. So this is by Berserk or B3D Zerk. It says it was tested, so might just had finished testing or they're still going through the testing phase. Again, this thing is really cool looking. I'm not familiar. I've heard of Anti-Monitor. I believe that's the name of him, but I don't remember it looking like this. But really cool looking character. So let's get into this and see what's going on with him, because he's definitely interesting looking. So let's just zoom in. So here's a look at his back. He's got like these, you know, like power flames shooting off of his hands. You know, he looks like some type of like, almost reminds me like something from like Aquaman, like some type of like water character, the way he looks. Like, what is that guy? Like something with like black manta. Looks very similar to that with the suit and everything. So here's a look at the back of him. Looks really good. Cool looking base. Looks like buildings or city broken. So here's a look from the side. Let's zoom into this. So he almost looks like a starfish to me. He's got a really weird looking face. So yeah, he's got like this flame coming off of his hand. Again, I apologize. I'm not too familiar with this character. I don't think I've ever seen this before. So another angle of that. We'll quickly go through this. Again, if you ever need to go back to any of these images, I always upload the images to my my Facebook account. It's All Things Art on Facebook. And then I always make announcements on Instagram. It's All Things Art on Instagram. If you ever need to go through the catalog of photos, that's where you can find them. Or you can just go to the Patreon groups of these guys here. So again, another look at the back. It's really nicely sculpted, so no issues there. Everything looks good. We're starting to get a closer look at his face now. Really interesting. It's really bizarre. Not like that. I'm not familiar with the character, but he's definitely weird looking. Okay. Maybe he's like is it like a molecule? Being he's like the Anti-Monitor, whatever. Probably should have looked up the name. I believe that's his name. So here's a closer look at the base. Again, it looks kind of like broken down ruins of a city. So it looks really good. Look at his legs with the textures. Looking good. Here's an up close look at his hand. So again, everything's very nicely sculpted. All right, so here we get a better angle of his face and the palm of his hand, which I just noticed for the first time. He has something carved into his the palm of his hand. So here's his face. I have no idea what this is. It looks like some type of weird, maybe molecule or something going on. It's very odd. Covered in metal armor. If you look at the palm of his hand, so he does have something sculpted on his palm. Very cool attention to detail. Here's a look at the full figure again. It looks like you can get two options for the base. So this base doesn't have you know, the city on it. You could just do like a cylinder platform, I guess, if you wanted to, you know, save space. So there's your option for a second base right there. Very nice. Again, they always give you an option for a bust. So here's a look at the bust. And again, I apologize. I'm not too familiar with this character, but he's very interesting and cool to look at. So I do like that. So another look, with this angle, you can see more of his face to where, you know, the full figure, he was looking up. So keep that in mind. If you have this displayed up too high, you're not going to really see his face too well. This would be a good mid-level, lower level piece to display. All right, so here's a really good look at that face. See what's going on here. So I don't know what he is. Let me know in the comments what this thing is. I'm really curious. I'll have to look it up. I apologize. I should have looked it up before filming this, but just didn't have time. I was preparing all the photos. Plus, I don't really like to look at the photos too much. This way, I just get my, you know, instant reaction to the photos without going, studying them too much. So let's move to the next. All right, we're done with him. So now we're going into Wicked. So this is going to be X-23, Laura Kinney. Obviously, you know, the all-new Wolverine, the female version of Wolverine, Wolverine's daughter. So this thing is really cool. This was, I believe, the last month's video of what's new. We left off on this model. It was still being tested, and in, you know, through, you know, the phase of them still sculpting it and getting things right. So now it is ready for printing. So it looks like we have like a Sentinel type base, and she's kind of like about to leap off of it. So really cool looking model. Let's go through the up close photos. Here's a look at her portrait. So like I always say, they always do a great job with the skin and the textures. You know, usually have some type of leather on these superhero costumes. So we got the leather textures. The mouth looks really good with the canine teeth. So they also offer the option for a bust. So if you don't want to print the full figure, you can print it as a bust. I actually like this a lot. I like the pose on this better than the full figure. This is a really cool looking bust. So we'll zoom into this a little bit. Like, that's really cool. I love the way the claws are just like in front of her face like that. So that's a nice option. All right, so for me, I like this the best. So this is the switch out portrait of, you know, the unmasked version. So we could just see Laura's face. If I was printing this model, this would be the way to go for me. I think you got to go with the unmasked portrait. It looks really good. You really see the rage in her face. Nice job with the wrinkles in her nose to make it look like she's squinting and she's angry. So I think I only have one photo of the unmasked portrait. So just leave that up for a second so you get a good look at it. But yeah, I definitely think this is the way to go. If you're gonna have a portrait on display, you got to go with that portrait. But I mean, they both look good. So here she is with the masked portrait. So we're just going to zoom in, take a better look at this base. So you got like this Sentinel arm reaching out, trying to grab her leg. You got the X-Men logo on the bottom. This looks very similar to the Beast that I'm working on right now. I'm painting a Beast for somebody. This sub base, I believe, is the same sub base, if I'm not mistaken. So, or it could be from like the Danger Room. Maybe it's the Danger. It's either a Sentinel or a Danger Room. I don't follow X-Men too often, but yeah, the suit looks really good. The expression on the masked portrait looks good too. It's very fierce looking. So here's another angle. Yeah, I believe this would be the Danger Room, correct? Again, correct me if I'm wrong. So we got the wheels spinning. Looks similar to what Sideshow did with Rogue, with that metal blade spinning around. All right, so here's a look at her from behind. So let's zoom into this real quick. So really nice attention to detail with the suit as well as the base. I really like all the mechanical stuff going on. And here's the back of her. Really nice with the muscles in her upper back. Everything looks nicely sculpted. You got some pulls in the fabric. So very nice. Another look at her portrait up close. So looks good. All right, so next character, this one's going to be by Wicked also. This is the Punisher. So this one says it was pre-supported and tested. So I believe this one also gives you a few different options as far as how you want him to look. They always give you different, alternative, switch outs usually for like the look of the character. So he's got his shotgun, he's got his Uzi. I believe this was taken from, I forget what issue it is, but it's taken from the cover of a comic book. I believe it was done by Jim Lee. It's actually one of my favorite Punisher comic book covers. I just forget what issue it was. So that's where this comes from, the inspiration for the design and the concept. So really cool looking with his face. And I'm just going to quickly scroll through these. So you have a different portrait option without the bandana. So that looks really good. I like this better. Really cool textures going on with the Punisher skull on his chest and his torso. He's got all the pockets around his waist. He got the gun holstered on his leg. Let's take a look at that base. Got all these bullets and artillery loaded up onto the base here. So really cool looking. Another angle there. All right, so here we go back to the bandana wrapped around his head. Looks really good. You can see a little bit more now that texture inside of the skull. All the different bullets wrapped around him. So this is a cool piece. If you're a Punisher fan, and especially the cover that this comes off of, it's such a cool looking cover. So look at his portrait with the mouth open. Really nicely done. You also get a second portrait with the mouth closed. Personally, I like the other one better, but that's why we have options. So you could choose the one that you like. Looks really nice. So different look at the angles here of with the mouth closed. Here's a side view of the mouth open. All right, so here's the bust that they give you. It's a different look, of the character. It's not the same as the full figure. Very, simple base. Looks pretty good. I like the gun that he's holding. All right, next character. This one's very cool looking. When I first seen the renders really quick of this, I was excited about this because there have been a few licensed Ghost Riders. I believe there's 2, maybe 3 now. XM, I believe XM did one. Sideshow definitely did one. No, XM definitely did one. Sideshow is currently doing one now. I know there's been a few custom, groups that did Ghost Rider, but to have one now that we can 3D print, this thing is absolutely crazy looking. And we're going to go through the photos because they offer you not only different portraits and swap outs, but they also offer you a different bike, more of like the classic style bike. So let's just get into this real quick because this thing is absolutely crazy. This might be one of the best Ghost Riders I've ever seen. So here's the concept art. I don't know if you could see it because it's kind of hard with all the flames, but here's a look at the 2 different bikes. Let me see if I can scroll in real quick, and we'll take a better look at this. So you have this version on the left. I guess it's like more of a modern take on the character. And then you have this version on the right, which I believe was the older, style bike for him. And they're both absolutely fantastic. So let's go through the photos on this. All right, so we're going to start with the grayscales, which is what I prefer, especially with the flames. It was so bright, it was hard to see what was going on. So really cool concept. I like the way they did the base. You have all these different skulls on the base, although the skulls are very large looking. But either way, it looks really cool. The way they sculpted the flames looks absolutely fantastic. I think I have a lot of photos of this, so we'll go through it quickly. But man, wow, look at that. The sculpt of that skull. Absolutely crazy looking. They also give you a transformation face of, I believe it's Johnny Blaze, or there's been a few different characters to take on the mantle of Ghost Rider, so I don't remember them all. But I'll show you the transformation face. That one's really cool looking. I really like this one. This one's really nice. I really like the way they sculpted that. So you had that look, you have this look. So you get different options for the portrait. Again, really nice job the way they sculpted the bone and the inside of the skull. It's almost similar to what they did with the Superman, the first one we looked at. All right, so here's a look at a little bit more now of the bike with the flames. It's looking really good. There's a good angle of it right here. Yeah, this thing is cool looking. Zoom in a little bit, see what's going on here. I mean, just to be able to sculpt a motorcycle like that is not easy to do, and they did it really nice. All right, so here's that switch out portrait. I don't think this is the transformation one, so you just have the character by himself before he transforms into Ghost Rider. Or maybe it is the transformation. Yeah, it looks like half of his face is starting to turn into a skull. I think I should have, yeah, I definitely have a better angle of his face. So you have a different portrait. I really like this a lot. No company has ever done that before, to where you have a switch out portrait to where he's looking more human. So that's really cool looking and a nice option. So here's another angle of the skull face and the bike. And now you can see a little bit more of what's going on with the base. Really cool looking. Another angle there. Here's an angle from behind. Let's zoom into this so we can see what's doing. So really nice with the leather jacket. Looks aged and crackled, like it would be like on fire. Like the jacket actually looks like it's dried, dried out from the flames. He definitely wasn't moisturizing that jacket. It definitely looks like it's burnt to a crisp. So really nice attention to detail, even on the bike seat. I really love this portrait here with the way they did the swirl inside of the mouth. I think that looks really cool. The horns on the handlebars there. Everything looks really cool looking. So it's another look. All right, so here's a better look at that transformation face. Wow, that looks insane. I think I'm not a Ghost Rider collector, but I think this is the one I would choose right here, just because it's never been done before. Looks really impressive. So let's zoom into this a little bit. I think I have one more photo of when they did the bust. You can get a better look at it, I believe, on the bust. But really nice job. All right, here's a look at more of the classic bike. So now, like I said, you had two options for the bike, as well as his outfit. Everything is totally different. So they gave you two models for Ghost Rider. Absolutely insane, because this looks like a lot of work went into just making one. So they give you two of them. So we'll go through these real quick. So you have a different style, leather jacket, as well as the bike. The bike is all different now. So here's a look at that bike. Really cool looking. It says Vengeance on it. Yeah. Different serial numbers on it. I'm assuming maybe if they did it, it'd be cool if they did an Easter egg to where it had to do with the issue of Ghost Rider. I'm trying to see what else it says down there. Danny something catch. I'm assuming that's the version of the Ghost Rider that this is. So they did throw a little bit of Easter eggs on there. Looks really great. Excuse me. All right, so here's an angle from the other side. Looks really cool looking. Really like the way they sculpted the flames. All right, so if you didn't like that portrait, they also give you this portrait with this kind of like helmet style here. So that's looking interesting. Here's a front view of that. This kind of reminds me of the helmet Wolverine wears for Weapon X. All right, so here's an overview of the whole model, so you can see what's happening. They're both really cool looking. Personally, I like the other motorcycle better, but that's why we have options. Here's that face again with the, the swirl inside the mouth. I really love that. All right, so here's the bust. This is really cool. So obviously Ghost Rider is going to take up a lot of space. It's, a motorcycle. You need a lot of room to print that even in 1/6 scale, let alone quarter scale or, bigger. But it's cool that they give you an option for a bust, and this bust is really awesome looking. So we have the two portraits now. We have, just his human face, and then we also have the Ghost Rider skull. So you get both, the best of both worlds here. All right, so then here's the color renders. If you wanted to kind of see what it looks like if it was all painted up, to kind of give you an idea. Let me quickly scroll through these because we already took a look at the gray renders. Here's an up close look at that face I really like. Wow, that thing is wicked. definitely wicked. It fits the company's name perfectly. All right, so here's an up close look at his human transformation face. Really nicely done. All right, here's another bust. Again, the sickle is definitely going to take up a lot of space even for a bust, but they do give you an option for a bust. Well, two busts. So Wicked's going all out this year, and B3D Zerk, or I should say this month, giving you two options for the busts and for the models. So here's a look at that transformation. To me, this is the one to go with if you're going to print the bust. This one's just way cool looking. All right, so moving into Wicked again. Wicked's been very busy this month, or last 2 months. So this is going to be Apocalypse and the 4 Horsemen, and all 4 of these characters look absolutely insane the way they sculpted them. So let's go through them real quick. So here's a color teaser of Apocalypse standing on his base, and we had Famine. Sorry, I'm not familiar with how you say the name. Looks really cool. We had War, and then we have Death, which is, I know this character. This is Archangel. So really cool looking. And here's all 4 of them in a row. So let's get to each one real quick. So here's a look at Apocalypse. A lot of people are impressed right now with this model. A lot of guys in the groups are printing this right now because he's really cool looking. Let's just go through the photos because I believe I have definitely a lot of photos for Apocalypse. Oh, actually, first we're going to go through all 4 of the characters. So here's a full figure view of Apocalypse and the 4 Horsemen. I'm just going to call them because that's easier to say for me. So this looks really cool too. Here was War, whatever his real name is, I don't know. And here's Archangel, really cool looking. All right, so let's get into these. So here's Apocalypse. I believe he has a few different bases, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he has switch out for the arms too. But I really love the pose on this and the look on his face. So here's how he's looking from behind. Really nice job sculpting the boots, all the mechanical stuff going on. Very biomechanical looking. The tubes coming out. Here's a better look at his face. So really nicely sculpted. Looks really cool. I noticed on the pupils on a lot of their models, and I don't know if that comes out in printing or if they just do that for the renders, but they actually give you the pupils sculpted to make it easier to paint. This way, you don't end up with wonky eye. You actually know where it's supposed to go if you're painting it. So that's a nice little detail. Here's a side profile. The skin looks absolutely fantastic, the way they sculpted this. Up close look at his boots. Looks really good. I really like this angle. I'm a huge fan of biomechanical. It's actually what I have tattooed all over my arms. So I always find it really cool looking at this type of stuff. So I really like the way this model looks. Nice job on the foot. Here's an up close look at his chest. The different folds and creases in the muscles and the texture of the suit. Looks really good. Up close look at the arm. So whoever sculpted this one, nice job, because this is really insane and cool looking. Really impressed by this. I was really impressed by General Zod, and I'm really impressed by Apocalypse. This would definitely be a cool one to paint. If anybody wants one of these painted, let me know, or printed. So I think, yeah, we had a, yeah, you do get a switch out arm with that drill, which looks really good. I really like the way they've been sculpting metal, kind of making it look like it's aged looking. It's not just smooth. So really impressive. And then don't worry, we have other companies too. It's just not all Wicked. Just Wicked has been really busy. Like I said, this month they gave us a lot of characters. So let me just go through this real quick. All right, so here's that other character from the Four Horsemen. Looks good. I'm just gonna go through her real quick. Here's a look at her from behind. It's really nicely sculpted. I'm not familiar with who she is, but it's definitely cool looking. I definitely like it. Here's a look at the base. Famine or Famine, assuming Famine. So it's got a cool looking base. View from the side. And let's take an up close look at her portrait. So creepy looking, but definitely cool looking. Then if you didn't like that portrait, you can go full death on portrait and do something like that. I kind of like the other one better, but that's pretty cool too. All right, so here was the war character. Kind of looks like Dr. Octopus a little bit. All right, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I like what they did with the base. It's kind of got like this like under the rubble, like what would be like maybe like buried under the ground. Looks pretty cool. So you got that for the base. It's got all the different armor on. Looks really good. And he looks like a very angry Dr. Octopus to me, especially with that hair. Very nicely sculpted. I was impressed by the way they did the hands. You can actually see like all the fine little details in the back of his hand there. Looks really good. The way they did that. All right, so he comes with this switch out. And I think, yeah, I have a side view of this. I'm assuming this is one of his powers. So here it is from the side. So definitely interesting. Well, actually, that's supposed to be his gloves. I thought it was his skin. Now that I see, I can see the stitch line on his thumb. All right, so that's actually his gloves. So that's sorry, I apologize. That's the texture for the leather. That was the texture for the skin. It would make a good texture for skin with all the different the lines going through it. All right, so here's Archangel. Again, we'll go through these quick because I have a lot of photos this month. But looks really good. It's definitely look really cool, all painted up. Here's a look at him from behind. So definitely a tricky paint job because when you got to paint that metallic, it's got to be, everything's got to be spraying perfectly to get that smooth finish. But I like the way this looks. Look at his legs. Here's a look at the base. It says death. So they all have matching bases as far as like the front skull on it. An up close look at his chest. Like I said, he's very reflective looking. I don't know if I have any colored renders of him. I believe everything's just grayscale. So look at the back. Let's take a look at his portrait. Looks really good. All right, let's see who we have next here. Oh, so they do give you a switch out for the portrait with the hair. So that's looking really good. And then you also have a switch out with more of like this death skull look to it, which is really interesting. Kind of like that right there. That looks good. All right, and then we had options for a bust. So Apocalypse is a huge character. If you couldn't print the whole thing, you get a bust for Apocalypse. Also Famine. Also for War here. I actually like this portrait. I wish they would have, maybe they do have it in the files. This portrait looks really cool, the way his face is melted. Almost looks like Two-Face from, Batman. All right, so getting away from Wicked and Berserk, fantastic job this month, guys. You knocked it out of the park this month with the models you put out. This is from CAD or CA3D Studios. So we get another X23 here. So, like I said, this is by CAD Studios. There's a bear, looks like a bear on the base with its head cut off. I don't have a lot of photos of her, so we'll just go through it real quick. But she looks pretty cool. You do get the different portrait, and I apologize. Problem with CA3D Studios, they don't give you the best quality photos. I guess maybe so nobody steals them, but I wish they would upload them a little bit higher quality so we can get a better look at them. But you get 3 portraits. You got her screaming, her looking more calm, and then you have the unmasked portrait of just Laura by herself. So let's go through these real quick. Here it is with the screaming portrait. Suit is nicely sculpted and detailed. Here's a look at her from behind. It's hard to go by their renders because it's looks very well defined. I wish they gave us a better quality and maybe a look at the grayscale, but it almost looks like too over rendered in a way, but it looks good. It's got a little bit of a leaning back pose to her. So again, this is available on Patreon from CA3D Studio. They also gave us a Magneto sitting on a throne, basically. So again, these renders are very overdone. It looks more like a photo than it does the actual 3D print. So I'm just going to go through it quickly and just show you what they're offering this month, though. I have yet to see any of these printed, so I can't speak for the quality of them, but the color renders look good. So, he's sitting on his throne with the cape draped over it. So this is going to be Magneto. So, cool looking piece. CA3D Studios is also giving us a Jubilee. Pretty popular character in the custom groups because we never get a licensed Jubilee. So now we have an option for a 3D printed Jubilee. So she's looking really good. I like the pose. I like the portrait. So I like this one the best so far. You get the simple base with the X-Men logo. Here's a better look at her portrait and her upper body. So really nicely done. Angle from the side. And here's how she's looking from behind. So I really like this model a lot. From them this month, this one's my favorite. And here's the breakdown to how the parts are assembled. So each color represents how it's going to be printed. So each leg is separate. The green area would be one part. The jacket is separate and so forth. The portrait and the base is one object. So I appreciate when they do that. Moving away from CAD Studios, we're going to go into Epic Props real quick. Epic Props did a Cosmic Spider-Man as well as a Chameleon. And speaking of Dr. Octopus, they are working on a Dr. Octopus right now, but he's still in testing. They're trying to finalize it, get everything right. But this is really cool. So this is Cosmic Spider-Man. Again, not the greatest quality images, but we get a decent look at the way he's going to look. Again, this is by Epic Prop, Cosmic Spider-Man. So really cool looking. I definitely like this a lot. Here's a look at him from behind. So Epic Prop has been doing a lot of Spider-Man pieces. If you haven't been following my my monthly videos, they did Vulture, they did Sandman, they did Electro. I believe we see some of that on Chameleon's base, which is really cool when we get to that. So we also get an unmasked portrait. Looks really good. So they've been doing a lot of characters from the Spider-Man universe, which is really cool. All right, so here's Chameleon. Now, Vulture, they're actually putting, I think, all the models they did so far on the base here. Green Goblin. So this is Chameleon from the Spider-Man universe. I like this one a lot too. This is probably my favorite. So he's sitting in his chair. He's got, let's see, we got Vulture's. It's his head, but it's supposed to be like his identity because he's the Chameleon. So we have the Vulture, we have Sandman on the back right, we have Green Goblin, and then we have Electro. And then it looks like we have Spider-Man's mask in his hand. So really cool looking. I like this piece a lot. And this is by Epic Props. Another angle. And then we also get a switch out portrait. If you didn't like the portrait that he currently had with him holding the Spider-Man mask, now we have him wearing the Spider-Man mask on half of his face, which is really cool. So let's zoom into that and take a look at that. So that's a really cool option. Get a better look at what's going on with the side of the base over here. You have, like I said, Electro and Green Goblin's face over on the base. And then on the other side, you have Sandman and the Vulture. So those are all the characters that they've been working on so far. Actually, and more. They did, I believe, a Black Suit Spider-Man. Like I said, they're working on a Dr. Octopus right now. So they're all in on the Spider-Man universe, which is really cool. So definitely go check out Epic Props over on Patreon, because they're doing some fantastic stuff right now. Here's a look at that Green Goblin face. They also give you the option for a different background. So it looks like we're going to be able to mount each character's head onto the wall. That's really cool looking. Let's see if I can zoom over a little bit. Let's zoom back out. So we got Vulture's face on the wall. So this might give you an idea of how many they might do, because they put cutouts for each one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. From what I can see, there's probably another one on the other side of the wall. 11, 12, and I'm assuming there's probably at least one more on the other side of the wall. I would say 13. So we have 13 cutouts to hang a head on the wall. So that's pretty much a good idea of how many characters they're going to give you that they're going to plan on doing. And we already have some really cool options. That Sandman is one of the coolest things I've seen. If you haven't seen that, check out my past video. I think it was in the last month's video or the month before that. Sandman from Epic Prop. Really cool looking piece. All right, let's move past this. All right, so up next we have actually Super Shark. So Super Shark was the group that I had mentioned in the beginning of the intro. Super Shark reached out to me, possibly wanting to do some promotion on the channel. So I said, no problem. I'm always happy to feature new groups on the channel here and try to get some collectors over to their Patreon group to check out their work. So definitely go check out Super Shark. Tell them It's All Things Art sent you and say hello. Maybe they'll give you a little bit of a discount. Again, I'm trying to work out some deals with them, possibly. Maybe we'll get some giveaways going in the future with them. But so basically, they just started, I believe, a month ago. Maybe it's been 2 months, or they're in their second month now. But they've been putting out a few pieces so far. As you can see, we have this zombie Wonder Woman bust. So I think this is the only photo I have of her. And I'm not really sure what scale they're supporting, or if they're even doing pre-supported models. But again, you can print these out in any, in any size. So it's basically, you have Wonder Woman as a zombie. Her arm is ripped off. Her arm is actually attached to the base, still holding the sword. So that was that model. I believe they had 3 or 4 models this year, or not this year, this month, I should say. So this one's pretty cool looking. So this is a Yellow Lantern Batman. He has a lot of different switch outs for his portrait. The base looks absolutely crazy looking. These are obviously colored renders. I do have gray renders as well that we can look at. So again, this is Yellow Lantern Batman. All different angles. I want to take a look at the gray renders so we can see what's going on better. But basically, looks like, we have a gargoyle on fire for the base, which is fitting for Batman. So really cool concept. And then we got Batman in a museum pose with the Green Lantern yellow ring on his hand. And like I said, he has different switch outs for the portrait. So let's get to the gray renders. Here's a quick look at the other portrait, the more traditional Batman face. I don't love that one as much. I think the all blacked out face works best on this design, but they do give you different options here. This is the one I'm talking about. I like this one the best, I think. I think that fits the model better for the character. So they do give you different options though, so that's good. Here's another look at the unmasked, or the Bruce, Wayne Batman looking face. You also have this portrait here. Almost kind of looks like Talon with that face. Here's a better look at the base with that flamed up gargoyle. Looks really cool looking. We'll look at the suit with the different textures. So you do have some textures in the yellow area. Looks pretty good. Again, these guys are new. I haven't seen any of their stuff printed yet. The renders are a little bit over rendered, so I can't really tell as far as the quality goes. So let's get to the grayscale. The back of the base, you're going to have the Green Lantern lantern on the back there. That's really cool. He's standing on top of it. Here's a look at the front of the base. More colored renders. All right, so let's get to... All right, here's the gray renders. This is what I wanted to see, because the gray renders really show you everything without all the fancy colored paintwork going on. All right, so let's take a look at what they got going on, at least with the textures and stuff. So again, this is going to be a bad quality photo, so I apologize, but we can kind of see what's going on. So he does have, some different little textures going on with the upper part of the suit. He obviously has those, the ribbed holes going down the sides there. Looks like the abdominal area is a smoother texture, so definitely cool looking the way they sculpted this. Here's a look at the base. Let me zoom back out just a little bit. Whoop, too far. And here's a look at that base. So I really like the base. I like the concept of this, how they use the gargoyle and then put it on fire. So that's really cool. Here's a side look at that. Got a bat flying out the side there. So like I said, it's a new group. We'll keep an eye out on them. If anybody has printed any of their models, let me know in the comments how it went and what the quality is like as far as printing them. So here's a look at the back of the base with that Green Lantern. So very simple pose, but still powerful looking. The other model they had was, I'm noticing a little bit of a theme. They like doing like zombie type stuff. The other one was a zombie Superman. So basically have, Superman's arm is ripped off. It's also on the base. It looks like almost like the blood is flowing out of his arms, which looks like kryptonite. So that looks really cool, especially if you printed that with clear green resin. Kind of like the look of that. So this one we can see a lot better what's going on, at least with like the textures and the details. So let's go through these photos because I do have a lot of photos for this guy. I think the Batman might have still been a work in progress. So here's a side view of Superman. What I like what they did with Superman is they made him very skinny looking. He looks very malnourished, more like zombie-like than he does powerful, which is good. It fits the theme. I do have a few nitpicks, and I'll get to that. It's a slight nitpick. Nothing too crazy. Here's a look at the back of him. So we do have a little bit of a slight texture on the cape. You get the Superman logo on the back there. Not sure what he's holding. Could be some type of, so maybe it's like kryptonite or something flowing. Sorry, there wasn't, I don't think, a description of what was going on. So we got some pipes on the back, or rebar, or I should say, actually no, those are like I-beams maybe. All right, so here's a side profile, kind of see better. I like the suit. The suit, I think, I don't know if this is supposed to be like movie inspired, but it looks like the Man of Steel suit with Henry Cavill. So it's definitely a cool look for the suit. The issue, and I'm getting to it, is the way the holes are in the cape, and you can kind of see it here. And it's not their fault. When you're sculpting capes, you don't want to make the cape too thin, because then it could, break too easily. So a lot of, even the license companies do this. They sculpt the capes a little bit thicker, but it's more noticeable here because they put holes through the cape, so I can actually see the thickness of the cape, and it looks very thick. And I think I have a better angle of that. Also, for it being a hole, so if you look at the way they sculpted, like the hole in his suit, it looks a little bit more, like tethered, like it's ripped, to where the holes in the cape just look like perfect holes. I wish they would have made the cape a little bit more, look like it's more ripped, and like, can't think of the right word for it at the moment, but just so it was like, looks like it was falling apart more. So here's a look at his arm on the base here. It's really creepy looking. I like the way they sculpted the texture of his suit. Again, it looks like the Man of Steel movie inspired suit, I'm assuming. So that looks really great. Yeah, here's an example of what I was talking about with the holes through the cape. So they look a little too well polished for being a hole in a cape. I kind of wish it looked a little bit more ripped looking, but other than that, it looks really cool. Like I said, it's something, sometimes you can't make the cape any skinnier, but they could have probably at least added a little bit more cracks or something around the holes to make it look more like it's like ripped, like falling apart. You have a Metropolis sewer cap. It says Metropolis Sewer and a picture of the building, so that's pretty cool. Here's a better look at his arm being ripped off and the texture in his suit. So again, really nice job sculpting the suit. It's really impressive. I really like the way they did that. And I really like the face, the way the face is like just falling apart with the holes and everything, and the way they did the green kryptonite stuff flowing out of the eyes looks really good. The way the arm is chopped off, it's kind of decayed. I should probably more say like it fell off because it's decayed. All right, so let's get to the gray renders so we can kind of see what's going on better. And again, like I like the way they made him look malnourished. He looks very skinny. So really cool looking sculpt. So here's a quick look at the gray renders. Let me just zoom in so we can get a better look. So yeah, it looks good. So I'm not sure what their future plans are as far as like moving forward, if they're going to do Marvel or just stay with DC for a while. It seems like they're just doing a lot of zombie stuff right now, which is pretty cool because it's something different. It's different than what the other groups are doing right now. So look at that broken rubble base with the metal steel beams. Still not sure what he's holding in his hand, but it's cool. It's the same thing that's coming out of his other arm that's cut off. I really like the side of the face there. So here's a look at the leg. Really nicely sculpted. I really like the way they sculpted this one with the suit and that face there. Here's a grayscale render of that cut off arm. Looks really good. And I think this might be the last one. Another look at that face. And the overall look. Yeah, so that was it. So that was the last photo. So like I said, some really cool stuff from Epic Props. Epic Props is working on a lot of Spider-Man stuff right now, so definitely go check out Epic Props. Wicked and Berserk, or B3D Zerk, they did a lot of models this month. Go check out Wicked and Berserk. They're always doing cool stuff with Marvel and DC. Who else did we have? We also had CA3D or CAD Studio with that Wolverine and Magneto I believe they also worked on a Zeus. I didn't put that in the photos just because it was a little bit out of character for like the superhero type stuff, but they did a really cool Zeus model. So definitely go check out CA3D Studio. There's a few other groups that I usually feature, like Zez, that I didn't get into this month because there was so much going on, but definitely go check out the other groups. I always leave everything in the description. And like I said, if you ever need anything 3D printed, if you need anything painted, my commission list is open. My info is in the video description. Just hit the more button. It sends you to my Instagram. It'll send you to my Facebook to where you can further look at these photos. If you want to take a better look at all the photos I showed today or any past videos that I've done, all the photos are over on my Facebook. Obviously, you can go to the Patreon groups and check out the photos as well. But yeah, like I said, if you guys need something printed or painted, hit me up, contact me. I'm always looking to work on projects for you guys, and doing some giveaways right now. So definitely hit the subscription button, hit the like button to keep these videos going. Stay tuned. I have a lot of projects coming with reviews, how-tos, and so on. So until next time, guys, take care.